What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dr. Vincent Esposito, and today we are going to be making a plant-based mushroom and spinach risotto from scratch. And normally risottos contain a lot of cheese and dairy. We're gonna switch that up, do it with kind of miso for some saltiness and tamari, and we'll get that kind of creamy texture using different ingredients. So we're gonna walk you through that step by step in a little bit. But before we get to that, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe if you're into anything kind of nutrition, health, wellness, longevity, plant-based recipes, coming out with videos every week. So anyway, let's get right to the video and let's go. Okay, so first we're gonna add our oil to the pan. We're gonna set it to about medium heat. We're gonna give it a swirl, and then we're gonna add all our aromatics. So we have some onion, some garlic, and some shallots for this. We're gonna give it a mix, and we're gonna cook it for about 4 to 5 minutes until it's fragrant. Now, since we added the garlic with it, we want to stir it occasionally so it doesn't burn. Then we're gonna go in with our short grain rice here. We use brown short grain rice. You can use arborio rice, which is recommended for most risottos. The cook time will be shorter, but since we're using a brown rice, that's what we're gonna use. So we go in with our homemade vegetable broth as well. We're gonna go in with salt and pepper. We're gonna add some dried oregano and some dried sage. And as this is all happening, we're trying to bring this to a boil. So we're bringing our heat as high as we can go, and we're gonna give it a mix and stir. And then once it is boiling, we're gonna cover it, and then we are going to put it in an oven, a preheated oven, to 375 degrees for about an hour 15 minutes. Now we have to do our mushrooms and our filling. So we're gonna have all our mushrooms. We're gonna chop them all. We're gonna go in with 3 different types of mushrooms. Now, you don't have to use 3 different types. You can use as many as you want. It's really up to you when it comes at the end of the day. But for this one, I used a variety of mushrooms. So we used some button mushrooms, we used some shiitake mushrooms, and we used portobello mushrooms. Now, again, you can use any really type of mushroom you want. This is just for different textures, different flavors. You'll notice the button mushrooms, I didn't cut very small because I wanted the nice texture, just because they'll add kind of a nice chew when we go into it. Portobellos are big too, and you'll notice here I'm cutting a lot of mushrooms. I actually cut more than this. The only thing with this is that mushrooms shrink a lot when you cook them, and you're gonna notice that when we go to the pan. You'll notice how much they reduce in size, and we're gonna use a big pan that I have, but not for this size, this amount of mushrooms. But it'll be pretty shocking. We're also going to put some spinach in there to kind of get some greens in. Now, I've talked about this before on YouTube. Using spinach in dishes is a really great way to kind of like hide and get greens in a variety of ways, whether it's shakes, smoothies, in dishes and sauces. I use spinach a lot. You'll probably see this type of thing happen more often than not. Now, we're going to juice a lemon as well. This is going to go in to our mushroom mix to kind of help season our filling and add a lot of flavor. And we're going to take out those pits because we don't want to eat those. And then it's time for the pan. So we're going to oil up our pan. We're going to set it to, again, about medium heat. And then we're going to start sauteing mushrooms. Now, that's a nice mug I was using for coffee. I rinsed it out, but I had so many mushrooms, I couldn't fit them all in the bowl. So we're basically just doing this in reverse order because the portobello mushrooms were on top. We're going to add some shiitake mushrooms. You'll see that's 2 cups of sliced shiitakes. And you're going to see we're only halfway done with the mushrooms. These are going to cook down fully. So you're going to have to give it time. You're going to have to add these mushrooms in batches. You're going to lose some from time to time. You can use a bigger pot. But the pot I would normally use for something like this is what the rice is in. So really, how long this dish is going to take is only going to be as long as the rice takes. Now, normally you make rice, risotto rice, you're adding stock a little bit at a time, and then you're adding rice. But this hack of putting it in the oven is really helpful. So now you'll notice our mushrooms have cooked down a bit. You'll see all that water releasing. We're going to add some of our miso into there. We're going to add some tamari. We're going to go in with some garlic powder, some black pepper, a little bit of salt, that lemon juice, and then we're going to hit it with a few glugs of white wine as well. Now, this is going to add a lot of richness and depthness to the flavor. Mushrooms absorb a ton of flavor, and they could really They really hold up well with like an aggressive seasoning. Then we're gonna add our cannellini beans so they get some of that flavor in as well. And you noticed how that pot was once kind of overflowing. Look at how all those mushrooms and beans fit. And now we're gonna take that a step further and get all our spinach in there as well. And if you've ever cooked with spinach, or really most leafy greens, they wilt down to nothing. So you notice we're gonna have to do this in batches. I'll be going in with spinach a little bit at a time. And you just kind of keep folding it in. It's gonna take you a couple minutes. But you know, over the next 5 minutes or so, it should be all wilted, and then you're pretty much done with your mushrooms. Now, again, like if you have a bigger pot, I would suggest using it, or you just make less. But that was 2 whole bunches of spinach that, when you look at the end product here, they wilt down to nothing. So now our rice is done, and we are going to fork our rice just to fluff it up, and then we're going to add a little bit more to add some of that moisture back because it comes out a little dry. So in we go with another cup of stock, a couple tablespoons of tamari. We're going to hit it with a few tablespoons of the miso. Again, this is going to add some of the creaminess back because obviously when you're making that risotto, you want that kind of rich creaminess. So the miso goes in, the tamari goes in, and a little bit of ghee. Now, if you really want to be completely vegan, now ghee does not contain lactose, so if you are lactose intolerant, ghee is a good alternative. But if you want to go completely vegan, you could use a little bit of coconut cream. Coconut's always an interesting ingredient because you could highlight it and you can hide it depending on what you add. But you'll notice once I add all these ingredients, we're going to keep stirring. We're going to stir it a lot till you get that creamy texture, and you're going to get that rich kind of creaminess you see with the risotto. So now it's time to plate. We're going to add our rice. We're going to top it with our mushroom and spinach mixture. Look how good that looks. And then we're going to add some parsley to garnish. And guess what? You have homemade vegetarian mushroom miso risotto. Now, I must say, this is one of the tastier dishes that I've tried on this channel. If you didn't know, most of these dishes I do try for the first time. I try not to repeat a lot when I cook. But this is great for a group. If you're looking for like a comfort food, it's fantastic. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Please like and subscribe if you thought this was enjoyable or useful. And I will see you down below in the comments. See you next time.